All right, algebra kids. After your first test, we're moving on with solving equations with variables on both sides. Got my study music on, ready to go, and let's get started. Some guidelines first. First of all, you got variables on both sides now. So the first thing you want to worry about is to simplify each side of the equation if it's necessary. Sometimes it will be, sometimes it will not be. Sometimes you'll be combining like terms. Sometimes you'll just be distributing with a distributive property with multiplication. Then the next thing you do is eliminate the smaller value of the variable. This is a great strategy. It works to keep things from getting negative, and it's also going to help you a lot when we get to inequalities. So I do have some method to my madness here. Eliminate the smaller value of the variable. Of course, it's not always possible, so we'll have an exception equation towards the end of the video. Then you're going to solve as you would a multi-step equation, because at this point, once you do step 2, you no longer have variables on both sides. You only have them on one side. Finally, check your solution by using that substitution property and plugging that answer back in. And a reminder, you can eliminate fractions or decimals by using multiplication, like we saw in class. Let's try some problems. Okay, 7d minus 5 equals negative 4d plus 11. So we have variables on both sides, and we have two values. You have 7d and you have negative 4d. Negative 4d is indeed the smaller one. So what we're going to do is, just like we can add and subtract numbers, like I could add 5 or I could subtract 11, you can do the same thing with variables. So we're going to add 4d to both sides of this equation. Adding 4d gives me 11d minus 5 equals 11. Now I'm going to solve it like it's a two-step equation. So I'm going to reverse my addition or subtraction, giving me 11d is equal to 16. And then I'll reverse the multiplication with division, giving me d equals 16/11, which is a hideous problem to check, but let's do it anyway because I told you had to. Awesome. So excited for this. Also completely out of space. All right, so if I multiply, 7 times 16 is 70, and 42 is 112 over 11. I'm going to write that as minus 55 over 11. So I know I moved fast there, but it's not that complicated. All I'm really doing is changing the negative 5 over to 11ths, so I have a common denominator. And this will be negative 64 over 11 plus 121 over 11. If I subtract 112 minus 55, 112 minus 50 would be 62. Minus 5 would be 47/11. Negative 64 plus 121 is like 121 minus 64. And when I subtract that, I'll get a 7 here, leaving me an 11 here. Uh-oh. I think I did the math wrong. I did. This is a 57, not a 47. So don't get too excited about emailing me with mistakes, because I already found my mistake. And yes, the two sides are equal. That is a hideous process when you have an answer that's an improper fraction like this, but we're going to be using the graphing calculators in class soon, and so it'll be quite a bit faster to check it using a graphing calculator. Sadly, I'll tell you now so that you can then lament about it in class, there is no way to solve this on your calculator directly. It doesn't exist in our calculators. We can't just solve equations on there. You actually have to do it on paper. Next example. Okay, this is an example where we need the distributive property. So we have 8 minus 4x equals, distribute here, negative 2x minus 10. So now again we look for our smaller value of the variable, negative 2x and minus 4x, which is like a negative 4x. So that's the smaller one. Get rid of it by adding 4x to each side. I now have 8 on the left and 2x minus 10 on the right. I'm going to add 10 to each side. If it bothers you that the variable's on the right, use your symmetric property and flip it around. Add the 10, so now I have 2x equals 18. Divide, division property of equality, x equals 9. Double check that answer by plugging it in. So 4 minus 2 times 9 is 4 minus 18, which is negative 14. 2 times negative 14 would be negative 28. Let's check the other side. Negative 2 times 9 plus 5 is negative 2 times positive 14 is negative 28. If the two sides match, I know I'm doing it right. I know my solution is right. Next equation. 8 minus 3 times the quantity a minus 4 equals 2a. Be careful with this. You cannot subtract 8 minus 3 and make it 5. Your order of operations tells you that's a no-go. But notice, minus 3 times minus 4, remember what I told y'all in class. When I write that, I write minus negative 12. Because that's 12. Minus negative turns positive. Smaller value, simplify on each side first. I have like terms. 8 and 12 is 20. Negative 3a plus 20. Messy. Fix that. Negative 3a plus 20 equals 2a. Smaller value of my variable is negative 3a. I'm going to add 3a to each side. And get 20 equals 5a. Division property of equality to finish. A equals 4. 8 minus 3 times the quantity 4 minus 4. Well, that's easy because that's 8 minus 3 times 0. And 3 times 0 is 0, so the left-hand side is 8. The right-hand side, plug in the 4, and we get 8. They are equal. We got it right. A equals 4. Next one. Our fractions. Take a second. Remember how to do this. Maybe pause it and try this yourself at this point. You've done several problems. It's not as hard as you think. Try it out. And I will now do it. Hopefully you're now starting it after having it paused. I know some of you little fibbers aren't doing that, but you know, whatever. Can't force you. That whole horse water drinking thing. Least common denominator here. 3, 4, and 2. Well, 2 goes into 4, but 3 does not. So how about 8? 2 goes into 8, but 3 does not. How about 12? Yep, that's it. We're going to multiply everything by 12, which was the common denominator when we did this the other day in class as well. 2/3 of 12 is 8. 1/3 of 12 is 4. 2/3 of 12 will be 8. So 8m minus 3/4 of 12. 1/4 of 12 is 3. 3/4 of 12 is 9. Another 3/4 of 12, so 9m. And then half of 12, so 6. You've got variables on both sides. 8m is smaller than 9m. Subtract 8m from both sides of your equation, leaving you m plus 6 is equal to, be careful, negative 9. Because a minus 9 is a negative 9. And if I subtract the 8m, I now have a 0 there. So it's like saying 0 minus 9, which is negative 9. Finish it off by subtracting 6. Try to see that as two negatives adding together, negative 15. Go back and check it. 2/3 of negative 15 minus 3/4. I'm going to pause this and do the math. Well, actually, I don't need to for this one. This one's a little bit faster. So negative 10 minus 3/4 is negative 10 and 3/4. Oof, more fractions. How about the other side? 3/4 of negative 15. Uh-oh, that one doesn't go evenly. Plus a half. So this will be negative 45 over 4 when we multiply. 15 times 3, negative 45 over 4, plus 2 over 4, which gives me negative 43 over 4, which is indeed equal to negative 10 and 3/4. We know we did it right. Awesome. Next one. That's our exception problem. And here's the issue with this one. So what did I tell you? Smaller value of the variable. Well, 2f is smaller than 12f. If I subtract 2f, though, let's look at what happens. 10f minus 4 equals, I don't know. What does it equal? Well, what's 2f minus 2f? It's 0. Well, that didn't work out so hot. So I'm not going to be able to do that here. When one side of our equation has only that smaller value of the variable, I can't use that. I'm going to have to deal with my negatives. So let's write it again. So we have a fresh workspace. I can't subtract the 2f. I mean, I can, but it's going to create more work for me. So I'm going to have to subtract the larger one and deal with the negative, which is really not that big a deal. Negative 4 equals negative 10f. Divide by negative 10. Divide by negative 10, which is positive. Negative over negative turns positive. 2/5 equals f. To check it real quick, 12 times 2/5 minus 4 equals 2 times 2/5. 2 times 2/5 is 4/5. this will be 24/5 minus 25ths, which is indeed 4/5. How did I get 25ths so quickly? 4 is 20 over 5. 20 divided by 5 is 4. All right, so that was your exception. Let's do some translating and a word problem. Translate, then solve. 8 times the number. 8 times the number is 36 more than twice the same number. 8 times the number is my equal sign. 36 more than twice that number. 36 more than, 36 plus, twice that number, 2x, and that is 8 times the number. And again, smaller value of my variable. This one works out nicely. Minus 2x from each side, leaving me 6x equals 36, and x equals 6. Okay, good. I didn't leave myself a whole lot of space for this bottom one, but, I'll do it anyway. If 3 times a number is increased by 12, the result is equal to 3 less than 6 times the number. Not tough at all. If 3 times the number is increased by 12, the result is equal to 3 less than 6 times the number. And again, solve. I'm going to pause it to speed up our video. I want you to just solve it because this is a nice simple one. And then in a moment, the answers will pop in for you. Okay, hold on. And there you go. The solution is x equals 5. And of course, you go back and you check them, but I'm not going to take up any more video time doing that. Our last problem is a real-world problem. Owen and Charlie both work for lawn care businesses on the weekends. Owen makes $15 plus $8 for each lawn he mows. Charlie makes $45 plus $6 per lawn. Last weekend, they both mowed the same number of lawns and earned the same amount of money. Write and solve an equation to find the number of lawns. Come on, LeCompte, get it together. Each one mowed. So, x is going to represent number of lawns mowed. What is that called when I write that out right there just like that? That's called defining a variable. So I define my variable. Let's write Owen's side of the equation. Owen makes $15 plus $8 per lawn. $8 per lawn means 8 times the number of lawns. So 8x plus 15 is the amount of money Owen makes for x lawns. Charlie makes $45 plus $6 per lawn. And there's our equation. Let's solve it. So we're going to get rid of the smaller value of our variable, which is 6x. Subtract it from each side. 2x plus 15 is equal to 45. Subtract 15 from each side. 2x equals 30. Divide by 2, and x equals 15. Each man mowed 15 lawns. Sorry, so messy. Let's fix the 15 because it doesn't even look like a number. 15 lawns. And that's how we should answer a word problem, is with a sentence that actually answers what the question was asking you to find. Thank you for listening and watching. I hope you don't have any pressing questions. Bring those questions to class if you're unsure of what you're doing, and we will go over them together. I'll see you guys in class.